Aquarius, Friday the 28th. Before you scroll away, stay with this all the way to the end. This message doesn't land in a rush. It lands in layers. If you give it a few minutes of still attention, you'll feel exactly where it's speaking to you. And I want you to anchor this right now. Write this affirmation in the comments exactly as it is. I welcome connections that respect the truth of my spirit. Leave it there where the universe can witness your intention, and where you can return to it later when your mind tries to doubt what your intuition already knows. Because today, the energy around you thickens, not in a heavy way, in a charged way, like the air before a storm breaks, except what breaks isn't chaos. It's clarity. Somebody in your orbit is finally seeing you, not the surface version, not the independent mask, not the cool distance that people misunderstand. They are seeing the depth underneath. They are seeing the softness you protect. They are seeing the quiet loyalty you offer without demanding applause. And the reason their emotions rise is simple. They can't unsee it anymore. They are having a realization that hits like a wave, abrupt, undeniable, and honest. The kind that makes the throat tighten and the eyes burn because the truth arrives too late to pretend it never existed. They are crying because they understand something they avoided. Aquarius, you were never the problem. You were never the chaos they blamed. You were the calm inside the storm they carried. You were the steady presence they didn't know how to hold. And now, the echo of that truth follows them. Even if they try to distract themselves, even if they try to outrun their own feelings, even if they tell themselves it doesn't matter, it matters. And as this realization moves through both of your energetic fields, breathe. You're not here to carry their collapse. You're here to recognize your impact without shrinking under it. That affirmation you wrote, it isn't a random sentence. Spoken aloud, typed where your eyes can find it later, it becomes a quiet doorway, a subtle invitation for more aligned energy to step in. It tells your path, your guides, your future connections. I choose respect. I choose truth. I choose alignment. Now listen. This emotional release happening in their world is not here to burden you. It is not your job to rescue them from what they finally feel. This is simply proof that your presence reached deeper than they admitted. You have a way of being unforgettable without trying. You don't force attention. You don't beg to be understood. You touch people through authenticity, and that kind of touch lingers. It stays in rooms after you've left. It stays in memories long after a conversation ends. It stays in the quiet moments when they finally stop performing for themselves. Their tears are not weakness. They are awakening. An awakening to your worth. An awakening to your sincerity. An awakening to the reality that you offered something real at a time they didn't know how to hold real things. Friday brings a shift in perspective for both of you. Not because the past needs to be replayed, but because the universe is highlighting the lesson. You inspire transformation simply by being yourself. There is a misunderstood magic in your detachment. Many call it cold because they don't understand self-preservation. But the people who look closely, the people who pay attention, they find a heart underneath the air sign mystery. They find devotion that doesn't need a spotlight. They find care that doesn't require control. As this day unfolds, your intuition becomes louder. You might feel it through a dream that sticks with you after you wake up, a lyric that hits differently, a memory that rises without warning and sits in your chest like a message. These are not coincidences. These are signals. They are signs that your path is aligning with something you've needed to acknowledge, something you postponed, something you tucked away for later, something you thought you could outthink. While they are facing an emotional reckoning, you are stepping into clearer self-recognition. You begin to notice where you poured too much energy into spaces where your light wasn't fully received. You see where you gave patience beyond what was fair. You see where you carried emotional weight that never belonged to you. And the most important part, you don't feel bitterness about it. You feel wisdom. You feel growth. You feel a gentle release, like paying off a debt you never signed for, and walking away lighter. The person thinking of you today may feel overwhelmed by the clarity arriving in them. They may not know how to express what they never said when the moment was open. They may replay conversations, choices, missed chances. They may feel the pressure of their own timing. But Aquarius, hear me clearly. You are not responsible for their timing. You are not responsible for their healing. Your path moves according to cosmic rhythm, not emotional pressure. Still, there's a subtle thread between you, a strand of unspoken truth. And depending on how you choose to hold it, it can feel like closure, or it can feel like renewal. You may sense them reaching toward you energetically, not demanding, not pulling, but softened, almost reverent. As if inside themselves they are admitting, I misjudged your heart. That recognition carries power, and you may notice yourself standing taller because of it. Not out of pride, out of clarity, a calm knowing of the love you give and the love you deserve in return. So let this day be guided by intuition above everything else. If you feel called to quiet, honor that. If you feel drawn toward connection, open gently, without forcing anything to become what it isn't ready to become. Your detachment is not cruelty. It is self-protection. It is the method your soul uses to stay intact until the world around you catches up. And that might be exactly what's happening now. Somebody is catching up. Somebody is finally seeing you without the distortion of their fears, their wounds, their defensive stories. Softness returns to your energy today. And with that softness comes a reminder. You never needed to chase what was meant for you. If it is aligned, it finds you. If it is real, it meets you. If it is meant to stay, it doesn't require you to abandon yourself. The universe is aligning something in your favor, something with emotional significance and spiritual depth. And those tears they shed on Friday, they're not only about you, they are about who they became while avoiding truth. In recognizing you, they are recognizing their unfinished healing, their longing for honesty, their desire to be seen in the way they now realize you once saw them. Even if you are distant, physically or energetically, there is quiet compassion inside you that understands without collapsing your boundaries. As the day moves toward night, you might feel as if the sky is speaking at mood and atmosphere. Subtle shifts, a charged calm, a softness in the air that feels like the universe rearranging itself. The emotional coil that stayed tight for too long begins to loosen. You may sense that something is drawing closer, not with pressure, but with purpose. Something that asks you to trust your path even when the next steps are not fully visible. And in this unfolding, remember, healing is not a single event. Healing is a flow, a river that carries you from realization to realization, steady and persistent, even when progress looks quiet. You don't need to decide anything today, Aquarius. You don't need to define their tears. You don't need to label the connection. You don't need to force meaning onto every sign. Allow the energy to move. Allow intuition to guide you. Allow the universe to reveal what is meant to remain and what is ready to drift out of your field. The story is still forming, still breathing, still changing shape as both souls learn and unlearn in their own time. And as this unfolding continues, you may notice how the atmosphere shifts around you in small, precise ways, like a spotlight, turning toward truths you were not meant to ignore anymore. There is tenderness in today's emotional current, a gentle unraveling that invites you to witness not only what someone else feels, but what you have kept hidden within yourself. Aquarius, you've always carried a future vision that others struggle to understand. And when someone's awakening is connected to your presence, you begin to recognize how deeply your energy influences the paths of people who cross your orbit. This is not a burden. It's evidence of spiritual influence. The unseen ways your authenticity becomes a catalyst, even in places that resisted change for a long time. As Friday deepens, you might feel a strange duality, like you are both observer and observed. You sense their realization, the weight of emotions they suppressed, the clarity about what they didn't say, what they didn't choose, what they didn't recognize when the timing was open. Yet at the same time, you feel inner steadiness, something sacred in you settling into place. You may not know exactly where this clarity leads, but you can feel its importance like a quiet hum under your skin guiding you forward. Their emotional release may echo across your field, but it doesn't disrupt you. It feels like a distant signal carried by wind, a soft confession arriving without expectation. Their tears acknowledge not just the connection, but the parts of themselves they lost while pretending they didn't care. And you move through this with grace, knowing every soul meets truth on its own schedule, even if that schedule arrives long after the moment passed. Their awakening does not demand a reaction from you. It simply gives you a deeper understanding of the invisible threads that shape the story. As evening approaches, you may drift into quiet pockets of thought. Memories may return in soft fragments, not to pull you backward, but to show you how much you have grown. Not longing, not regret, growth. The resonance between you may feel like a gentle tug, not dragging you to the past, but asking you to acknowledge what was real, even if it remained unspoken. Your intuition is heightened now. It guides you through the balance between empathy and distance. You sense their depth without absorbing it. You notice their shift without becoming entangled. This is your evolution. The quiet mastery you built through each lesson, each departure, each moment you chose yourself when others expected you to bend. You stand here not hardened by life, softened by wisdom. There is something luminous about you in this chapter. The universe recognizes the clarity you cultivated, the self-respect you protect, the intuitive strength that keeps you aligned with your higher path. And because of that, new opportunities begin to stir near you. Opportunities for connection, healing, expansion, and emotional honesty. You may feel as if you are being prepared for a new chapter, a chapter that honors your depth, without asking you to compromise what you fought to reclaim. Their reflection becomes a mirror. You see how far you've come, where you once might have been shaken by their distance. Now you hold calm awareness. Everything unfolds as it must, even what once felt unfinished. A gentle warmth touches your heart, reminding you you never needed external validation to be worthy. You carried your own light with quiet resilience. And now, as someone finally recognizes what they overlooked, you feel release. Not attachment, release. Old tension dissolving, space returning, room for joy, room for clarity, room for connections that match your truth instead of your old wounds. As night settles, you may notice synchronistic signs, repeating numbers, sudden clarity, a feeling in your chest, a timely song, a symbol appearing at exactly the right moment. These are soft confirmations from the universe, not shouting, whispering. They remind you that even when someone else's realization centers around you, your journey remains your own, full of possibility, still unfolding. The emotions directed toward you today are part of a larger narrative that reveals your impact without requiring you to prove anything. You are entering a phase where authenticity becomes your compass. Emotional clarity flows more naturally. Connections begin to reflect your growth. And beneath the surface, something continues shifting, preparing you for experiences that match the frequency you've earned through your healing. As the hours deepen, you may feel the intuitive pull guiding you into deeper awareness. Not through words, through sensations. A softness in the air, a spiritual mist that makes the world feel slightly unreal, slightly sacred. You may sense emotions that aren't yours, drifting through your field like echoes from a distance. Not random, threads, a connection still humming quietly. Their emotional truth reaches you without stealing your peace. The universe shows you what they now understand, without asking you to pick up what they now feel. You witness it. You remain grounded. This is the chapter you have been building toward, trusting intuition, protecting boundaries, letting life unfold without losing your shape. They may long for closure, understanding, perhaps another chance to say what they swallowed. But you stand at the shoreline of your life watching waves that don't belong to you. There is beauty in the symmetry. You're calm. They're awakening. You learned how to flow without gripping. And because of that, clarity arrives naturally. You already walked through the confusing part. You made peace with silence. You released the need for answers. So now, your heart feels lighter, not because you forgot, but because you outgrew what felt unresolved. The universe opens small windows of ease. Breath becomes softer. Thoughts become brighter. Spirit becomes more expansive. These are signs. You are entering a new emotional season. You may not know exactly what is coming, but you can feel the quiet stirring of something aligned. Something open, something reciprocal, something honest. Their emotional waves may continue long after Friday ends. But you move forward with gentle confidence, knowing delayed realizations still serve a purpose in the wider design. There is strength in your softness, wisdom in your boundaries, peace in allowing life to unfold without resistance. And as the night reaches deeper still, it can feel almost timeless, like the universe is holding a doorway open long enough for you to step through, with full awareness of what you learned. The past feels softer now, diffused like distant light. The realization settles into place as a quiet truth, acknowledged, not demanding, and you remain rooted in steadiness. You no longer confuse attachment with destiny. You no longer mistake intensity for alignment. You see yourself clearly, and from that clarity, you see the world with a gentler heart. A new chapter is forming beyond the present moment, You can sense it, even if you can't name it yet. The universe tends to open new paths after the old energy settles. And now, as this cycle exhales, space appears. Where there was tension, there is openness. Where there was confusion, there is calm. Their late recognition becomes a distant star, meaningful in its light, but no longer defining your direction. It shines far away, reminding you of your impact, even in silence. And as Friday comes to a gentle close, you feel the shift inside you. Subtle, unmistakable. A beginning forming beneath your feet. Steady, inviting, ready to guide you into what comes next.